Welcome to the Mystic Media channel. I am your host, Ravina Rastaban, and today I'm going to get into the numerology and astrology of Karrine Steffans. Now, I was going to do a video about her anyway, but one of my subscribers brought her up on a video I did about KRS-One. He basically connected her or connected KRS-One to her book. I guess she discussed him. So I never read her book. I really didn't have an interest in reading it. Like, if anything, I just wanted to know, who she slept with and whatever. But I didn't want to take the time to actually have to read the book and read through all this, inconsequential stuff. But anyway, I pulled her chart. I don't have her birth time, so I don't know the house positions and um, her ascendant or midheaven. However, I do see some characteristics and character flaws that contribute to her personality. So she was born on August 24th, 1978, and that makes her a Virgo. And because she's born on the 24th, that makes her a very softened Virgo. 24 is the number of Venus, and it's a number of sensuality, and it's a number of money. So 24s usually do well, very well in terms of money, and it's a number of indulgence. So 24s tend to have a very indulgent side. So that can explain why she's very indulgent in terms of sex. Also, looking at her chart, where are my notes? Here's my notes right here. Um, 24 also deals with beauty. So she is very, very attractive. It also makes one very possessive, makes one very relationship oriented. So she has a strong need for love and admiration. Um, Also, it makes her very focused on her self-worth and her value. Now, right off the bat, I noticed that she has Mars conjunct Pluto. So that explains how she got the name Superhead, because Mars deals with sex and Pluto can deal with intensity or things that are like very powerful. So she more than likely does have these, powerful dick sucking skills that would make her a superhead. However, some people have said that when they saw her porno, which I've never seen, I might check it out later. When they saw her porno, she really wasn't living up to her name. So she not just has Mars conjunct Pluto, which makes her hypersexual. She has Mars conjunct Pluto conjunct Venus in Libra. So she has a stellium in Libra. So that makes a person a big time follower, and it makes them very desperate for others' approval and others' validation. So she seeks validation through other people. So that's why she's so apt to go out and have these numerous sexual affairs. It's all for seeking validation and approval. And she has a strong desire to be loved. She has Mars in sextile to Neptune, which is a positive aspect. So that had enabled her to operate behind the scenes in the hip hop industry and saddle up to, influential people, and also betray others through the secrets that she was able to tell. Now, one thing in particular, one aspect in her chart that contributes to her self-loathing nature is Sun conjunct Saturn. She has Sun conjunct Saturn just like little Kim has. So Sun conjunct Saturn people have a strong need for attention. Often they feel inadequate. Often they are prone to self-loathing and also self-punishment. And Sun conjunct Saturn can also make one hypersexual as well, or they may feel like their sexuality is the only thing that they have to offer. With Sun conjunct Saturn and Virgo, with Karrine Steffans being a Virgo, that makes her very prone to seek attention through serving others. So, performing sexual acts, humiliating herself, punishing herself through sex, or subjugating herself. Virgo is a very um, passive serving sign that often is subject to humiliation, often is subject to subjugation and even enslavement and servitude. So, and Virgo is a very insecure sign. So she has a strong dose of insecurity, and that um, enables her to basically just give herself over to these men and be this willing servant. It's also how she gains attention. Sun conjunct Saturn people tend to want attention at all costs, even if it's negative attention, and they often thrive off of negative attention. She's also extremely critical of herself, and she'll punish herself in the process. She feels like she's less than or worthless, and this probably goes back to her relationship or lack of a relationship with her father. She also has indications in her chart of having a bad relationship with her mother, and she spoke about this in interviews. Um, Her mother seemed to be very insensitive. Her mother seemed to lack a nurturing approach. She seemed to be hypercritical of Karrine, and also it seems that her mother played favorites. So she might have played favoritism when it came to her and her siblings. So Karrine Steffans felt as if she could never measure up or never please either of her parents. More than likely, her father was not in her life, and the men that she did come in contact with from an early age, they basically set the tone in terms of their negative influence upon her for her later interactions with men. She has moon square Mercury, so that makes her prone to lacking common sense, being very irrational, um, acting on instinct. Again, that's a aspect that can deal with insecurity, or always wanting to get the best of someone, and she does that through her writing. Um, Moon conjunct Mercury is somebody that's very unstable. They can have mental deficiencies, have a hard time thinking things through. They tend to fly off the handle, and they can also try to erase their past. They'll be very uncomfortable with their past and try to hide certain things. So as of late, she has put out these videos where she's basically saying that um, the person that she was writing about in her book was not her, and that she made a lot of these things up just to create some type of scandal. And she is prone to scandal, but this is of her own making, and that's because she has South Node in Pisces, and Pisces is prone to scandal, but also prone to deception, lies, secrecy, and also addiction. So she has a strong sex addiction, which is evident by the asteroid Apollo being opposition her south node in Pisces, with her north node in Virgo, which is also her sun sign. Usually when your north node and your sun sign are the same, that means that you're not living according to your true sun sign traits or the higher traits of your sun sign. So you have a double dose of that energy of your sun sign, just so you can learn some lessons. But because she has Apollo conjunct the North Node, Apollo deals with being hard headed or hitting your head against the wall constantly. She's constantly having a hard time living a normal life, living a life of respectability, of having proper etiquette, um, of just having an understanding of who she is on a basic level. She's come into this lifetime being very confused about who she really is on a fundamental level. And as a result, she tends to lack proper boundaries, and she'll tend to spread herself thin amongst people just to feel like she's relevant. And also recently she came out and she basically said that she was Becky with the good hair, or she was one of the Beckys with the good hair, in response to Beyonce's Lemonade song and video, which we all know is some bullshit because number one, from my understanding, the chick has been wearing weaves, and terrible weaves or lace fronts, throughout her so-called career. That's another thing I wanted to touch on. When I look at her chart, she really basically has a one-track mind, and it's really geared towards sex, and that's basically her main work for her main talent. So she really doesn't have any talents, and that also deals with South Node and Pisces, being confused about your purpose or where you fit into society, or where your worth stand, what your worth is in relation to the world. Also, going back to Sun conjunct Saturn, that's somebody that will easily sell their soul because they could be highly ambitious. So they will do anything in order to obtain fame or a higher status. And she did get with Bill Maher. the host of Politically Incorrect. So Sun conjunct Saturn can be a woman that is a gold digger or that gets with men in positions of power just to get ahead. She also has Saturn semi-square Venus, which makes her very prone to breakups. It makes her have difficulty being in relationships. She's not a relationship person. She's very opportunistic, and she's the type that's also very materialistic. So she's starving for love, but she doesn't know how to go about getting that love. She goes about it in the wrong way. With all that Libra energy, Mars conjunct Pluto conjunct Venus, it's all about getting that validation through others, but she's doing it in the most negative, most self-destructive ways. I also noticed that she has Toro, which is an asteroid. It's a destructive, violent asteroid. It's opposing her Chiron in Taurus. Now, people who are born under Chiron and Taurus, they often have issues with self-worth. And they also have issues with safety and security. But with I'm sorry, Toro opposing Chiron and Taurus, Tauros and Scorpios. So I'm seeing sexual taboos, and I'm seeing the possibility of her being a masochist. Sun conjunct Saturn can also deal with someone having masochistic tendencies too. That whole punishing yourself or wanting others to punish you. So I would think that she's a masochist, and that lends to her whole story about her giving head to Cool G Rap and until her nose bled. And she basically said that Cool G Rap forced her to do that, but then it came out, I think on Hot 97 or some radio show. Cool G Rap and his woman, they actually called up the show, and Cool G Rap put her on blast and was like, you did that on your own. You voluntarily, sucked my dick for hours until your nose started bleeding. So that's that whole punishing herself, that masochistic tendencies. Also, the Sun conjunct Saturn, her getting with Cool G Rap to get ahead, um, the gold digger tendencies, but that didn't turn out because he ended up not really having much to give, and she claimed that he was abusive towards her. But that was something that she was craving because, again, she likes to punish herself. So, is Karrine Steffans a dark-sided Virgo? I would say she definitely is. She's definitely living through her south node instead of her north node. She's exemplifying the worst traits of Virgo, basically humiliating herself and lowering herself to a very low standard and letting men subjugate her. And that's how she gets that much needed attention and validation that she's seeking. So she's very insecure. She's a very broken woman. I hope one day she could try to get some help. She does have some talent in the area of writing, but she channels that into scandal and sensationalism, which is South Node in Pisces. So I'm not going to dog her out because, we are all struggling with deficits and, you know, negative traits. But she also has that very strong ego. She's very egocentric. So it is going to be it's very hard to feel sorry for someone like that. But like I said, I'm not going to dog her out because I understand the energy that she's working with, and it goes back to her childhood and the trauma that she experienced. So maybe one day she'll find it within herself to actually get the help that she needs. But until then, I see her continuing down the path of destruction, and she'll continue to, you know, try to get this attention by focusing on the negative. So that's my take on Karrine Steffans. Please feel free to contribute. Please like and subscribe. Stay tuned for more videos. My next video will be on the dark-sided Taurus female. Peace and blessings.